Hi, Zizaran here with another video, and now that I'm finally in maps and like playing a bit more of the game, I wanted to make like a more of a still kind of first impressions. I usually do want to make like a video like 2 to 4 weeks in when I've like really got my teeth in and everything and killed everything like Arbiter, etc. Right? But I wanted to make a video about the PoE 2 patch point 3. I'm gonna do pros first and then cons, but like a TLDR is I'm a happy chappy. The only thing right now is that my build is so visually intrusive that my eyes physically get tired after like 8 hours of it. So I'm working on a Thorns build, might work on a Lich build as well. I'll be talking about health versus ES in the cons section. Yeah, let's just start talking about the pros. Either way, I'm really enjoying point 3. And while I still feel like there's a lot of issues and things that I would wish to be different, I'm really having a lot of fun. It's so good. So let's start with the pros. Crafting and essences, so good. Like, I have not even started on the in-depth crafting, but I've been watching Steel a lot and what he's able to craft and how he's able to craft it. And so much of the advanced crafting is really cool. Just the fact that just the greater ones, are amazing. Going from a magic to a rare item, and you're basically guaranteeing a good 3-mod item. This is already so strong, so much power creep, and just really gives us agency. And agency is my favorite thing in the game. I like having control over it. It's why I don't really like Ruthless, because in Ruthless, a lot of it is just, you just got a map. You're not necessarily target farming anything, a lot of it, and I know it's gotten slightly better, but especially in Star, it was just like, just map and hope something happens. Which is really rough, and it's why I like PoE 1 so much, because especially in SSF you have so much agency. You can, as an experienced player, have like 10 to 30 different goals that you're working towards at the same time, and you really feel like you're in charge of what's happening. And these essences, so cool, and the perfect ones are so good. For example, this one, even on a fully crafted item, like I used it on this to guarantee +6 level of all attack skills. So this just literally guarantees that. Because it removes a random modifier and augments a rare item with +6. But it can only remove a suffix when it's adding a suffix. So this had like attack speed, crit chance, and leech. Or it was a mana on kill, life on kill, something like that. And obviously I just have to hope it doesn't remove attack speed. Now sadly the perfect haste one is onslaught. It's not actually attack speed. So they've obviously thought about stuff like this and what they want to allow or not. For free power, but yeah, that was huge. I really enjoyed that. And you also can't upgrade 2 perfect ones. You have to like Val or find them naturally. So the essences, so good. The omens also really good. Still quite rare, maybe a little bit too rare, and I was positively surprised how generous they were with abyss crafting and abyss crafting as well. Just I'll talk about abyss separately, but so fun, so great. That adds so much to like, I feel like previous patches of PoE 2, especially in solo self-fun, because that's what I started, I was running around with like 2-mod items. I was very happy when I ever had like a 4-mod plus item. I was like, oh, this is great. I'm juicing. I have a 4-mod item. Whereas like now you're able to actually have like proper good items. And on Trade League, especially softcore trade, very good items, right? So that's cool. Really enjoying that, and a lot of them are just fun. Like, you're able to reroll the unveils or desecrated modifiers. This one, really cool. Obviously, a lot of people are using them on jewels. Some people are using them on other pieces too, but yeah, 6 desecrated modifiers. I don't even know what the best thing to use them on is, but I did have like fun with jewels. And then I haven't tried much about the specific like Amananu modifiers and stuff. But yeah, Omen of Light, I think this one's worth a decent amount even. And we have auction houses now. How cool is that? Talk about that too. Omeon, Omen of Light. They're 109, being bought for 90. So like that's some money there. And just yeah, we actually have crafting now, and I didn't think we were gonna have it like this. We still have Recombinator. Like I'm trying to do like multiple tier 2 mods, and there's an Omen offer combination as well. So much more. Now I'll talk more about runes and stuff, but I do feel, especially in the early game, runes do not do an adequate job. I don't know how you guys have been feeling about that, but I felt like I was pretty much only getting attribute runes early on. And as you can see, I have an overwhelmingly large amount of those, and very few, if any, of the useful ones. So maybe, like, I think it's still okay. I don't think they should remove them from the game, even though tributes aren't as much of a thing, if at all, anymore. I still think it was a good addition to the game, but they should be like 4 times less common, and they'll still probably be good price-wise, because I don't think I've seen a single person that looked at their gear has not used one. So definitely hope they make them less common. But either way, I love the addition of all the new runes and the Socketables tab. Very, very cool. But yeah, crafting, very good. Super enjoying it. And loads and loads of interesting stuff to find there. Think about how far we've come from like not being able to take runes out of our gear. Like that was toxic. I remember running around with 2 pieces with no runes. And people are like, why don't you put runes in? And I was like, because I can't put anything else in if I do. And I don't have the one I want yet. That was awful. But yeah, huge happy with that. Next up, Abyss, the season mechanic. Man, almost only positive things to say about this. And they have nerfed already quite a lot of the things I was complaining about. I don't know if they've nerfed the globules yet. The like green globules that explode are crazy fist damage. And it's hard to get enough defense for that. We see a lot of clips of those 1 or 2 shotting people, and they also don't look as scary as the big... There's like these big pieces of Abyss that like glow and explode. They do like 1/4 of the damage of the globules, even though they're scarier looking. Aside from that, I have no complaints about Abyss. I mean, some people feel like they're laggy, but I have a very solid PC, so that's been fine for me. It's super fun. Every time I see Abyss, I'm happy. It's very rewarding. I love that there's the RG mechanic of will it open up a depths, and the depths is very rewarding. And yeah, there's so many omens I want, and obviously I just want more of these, like desecrate an item, especially the one desecrate jewelry. It's just so much good. Fun mechanic to interact with. I love the way it interacts with like rogue exiles and anything else. I love that. Just I love everything about it. It's a better, way better version of the Abyss we have in PoE1. And I know some people would like to just see pure new mechanics, but in my opinion, this is effectively a purely new mechanic. Like, if you put this in PoE1 and call it something else, it might as well be a new mechanic. It's just because it has the same name and it's green. Oh, the color scheme, actually. Like, green on green on green. I would like a little bit visual clarity. But other than that, just huge fan. Lovely league mechanic. And it just, that alone has just really renewed my happiness in PoE more than anything, because Dawn of the Hunt was so rough, and it was definitely better than nothing. And I get that they were so low on time, and just like, they were just like, we gotta give them something. I get that. But like, until that moment, I didn't really know what league mechanics were gonna look like in PoE2, and I still didn't with Dawn of the Hunt, right? Because it just was a non-league mechanic. Again, better than nothing, and I'm happy we have it. But this now, I'm like, wow, okay, like this is really cool. They've also added these like Stonehenge things that spawn a random boss. Huge fan of that. I love not knowing what is in my map. I really like, I love the choice to like put things on my map and influence it, but also when I find something really cool, it gives me a little bit of that feeling, like, you know, when you're playing Minecraft and you crest a hill and there's like a village or something, or like something cool. I always love that like feel of discovery, I guess. And the runes, the Stonehenges, just seeing things like that, I love that. So more RNG things that can happen in map. Rogue Exiles as well is another good thing there, right? They're not always going to be there, but when they're there, they're quite exciting. And armor was super underrated. People did not think it was going to be viable at all. It is super strong. It is not super strong compared to Energy Shield, but it is super strong. Especially once you get up to where it's like 20 to 40,000. We're seeing armor actually be very impactful. Don't know how impactful it's going to be in the endgame of tier 15s and stuff, but I think that's not necessarily the problem of armor. That, I think, is the problem of life. Another positive thing I really want to talk about, Ange, my sweetheart. Look at this. Look, oh my god, waking up to this and like, I got a 2. Okay, I in hindsight probably undersold this, but I'm also kind of poor. But I had the only Widow Hail over 250 with sockets. I got a 285 Widow Hail with 2 sockets. I probably could have gotten 45 for it, but I was like, A, I don't know if anyone needs it for any build. B, I'm poor, and I just want to sell things. Everything else, what I'm doing, I got some ideas from Ziggity, and he was like, group things together. So like here I have like life res gear, here I have jewels, so people can browse. Unique, so my unique sold. Some Sanctum, a lot of my Sanctum relics sold. Caster gear, and just like, it was so good. So like, one guy went to buy one of my like max honor resistant relics and he bought 6. So I was like, Ziggy fucking D, mate. And what I do is I just go through and I just lower them, bro. I just lower them until they sell. You just start high, work your way down. Depends how desperate you are for cash. I mean, obviously there will be some things that will sell. It just takes time, and obviously early in the mechanic, early in the league, sorry, people just don't have money, right? And that's fine. But yeah, I don't care that much about the individual thing, how much I'm getting. I just lower it like this. I just go through. Twice these didn't sell. These are beautiful. 2 sockets and everything. But yeah, I just go through. Okay, I'm too lazy to go through my jewels, but I just go through and sell. And then obviously Ange here with the buy orders and sell orders, so good as well. The end game, we do have more maps. More maps, and we have like these like mini bosses that need keys and stuff. Just it is really starting to get a lot better. I think I still prefer the PoE1 Atlas, but I am warming up a lot to this Atlas. And I do still think this feels better as like a form of delve, you know? It feels more like a delve than it does an Atlas, but I quite like it now. It is quite good. They've already said, I don't want to get it too into towers. I know that's most people's big pinpoint, but they've already said that they don't like towers themselves and they want to fix them. So, mute point. Irrelevant to discuss. Build power, we did get buffed a lot this season. I do agree with the statement, all builds are buffed. People are very jaded about that because of Deadeye. The Deadeye thing is very, very chalked up to that. People don't want to have a bad time with builds, especially for your first character, like doing something janky. And quite a lot of skills are janky right now, especially for leveling. I think we're at this stage now where like most builds you can make work in the in-game with good gear. And you have very, very good access to gear now with the auction house. But early on, there's some large disparities where some builds literally, it's like playing a challenge mode, right? There's some skills that just like, when you're playing it, even in the intended way, you're just not killing things compared to other skills, to the point where you notice it even with twink gear, right? Where some builds with like high level or like good gear will literally one-shot a boss, and some with good gear will literally feel like you're doing the campaign the first time. So definitely the biggest imbalances are in the early game, I feel, and people don't want to take that risk, right? So when they're kind of slow with getting like the builds out, the trees out, and a lot of people do look to content creators for these things, I feel like this time a lot of content creators, myself included, were not really confident. I was like, yeah, I mean, Deadeye will probably be solid. Gun seems really confident. So that's a big part of the reason why so many people went for that. I went for Tactician Mercenary, and it's like 0.3% playing it, and I feel like I'm playing an absolute meta build. Like, obviously, it's a very niche build that not a lot of people are playing. I feel like I have the power of, you know, I'm playing the most popular build. Like, I'm literally one-shotting everything. I just want to work on my defenses. If I was on software right now, I would just be living at the highest tier content because my damage is nuts. It's very explosive. But yeah, like, so there are a lot of other builds out there, right? It's quite a lot of build diversity right now, in the sense of like, sorry, not build diversity, build viability. Quite a lot of builds you can play. It's just not a lot of builds people do play. Like, if we look at PoE 2 Ninja, it is an absolute disaster in build diversity, both on softcore and hardcore. Like, even without looking at like the higher ones, like 90 plus, because here it's 50% NA. Now, it is starting to even out, so we're seeing what I say is a little bit true there, right? Where it was a lot of it's like panic at the start. Hardcore has a lot more diversity. Honestly, not bad diversity on hardcore. Let's look at like, yeah, like actually quite decent. But even on hardcore, only 3% playing Tactician. It's going in an okay direction for build power, where you can feel like you have a build you want to put together, and you can at the end game. So that's good, I think. Another thing I want to talk about, the campaign and the interludes and the end game. What an absolute masterpiece! Like, this is the best thing. And like, obviously we just saw Last Epoch come out with a new act 2, and that was beautiful. And they've done such a good job too. So it's really cool to see like ARPGs in general just really stepping it up with like campaign stuff. Every fight was really cool. I'm a little bit surprised at the difficulty of them. I didn't die to any of them, but a lot of my fellow streamers were wiped out. And I think going through this blind on hardcore is almost impossible. There's like literally like Arbiter, Cyrus, and Maven level fights in the campaign. It is nuts. Act 5 and 6 is gonna be crazy. And I'm guessing, like, I remember initially they talked about Act 7. I don't know if that's just like dialed down to just one boss fight now or what it is, but I'm assuming 5 and 6 and if there's a final boss fight, I'm assuming they're gonna be all like crazy. I mean, let's trying to remember, like obviously the fish lady. Yeah, great fight. More of that. Awesome. Honestly, it's making me even care a bit about the story, to be honest, which I'm not a lore guy. Hidden Cat Noodle is really good lore videos, but it's yeah, very, very, very good. And the interludes. I thought these were basically gonna be Endless Ledge when I heard them talking about them. I thought we maybe got like one big area that would maybe scale with us, and then we just reset that until we were ready for maps. I did not expect basically fully finished acts. Like, they're pretty short, they're really enjoyable, crazy hard bosses. They like way overperformed with the interlude. I think I was no, I had so low expectations for the interlude. How the fuck is this something they just like is a temporary thing? It's wild, absolutely wild to me. So very, very positively surprised. Yeah, I think that's mostly the positives I wanted to talk about. I do have some negative things I want to bring up too. There's a weird time in the Path of Exile community right now, so I do want to preface this a little bit because there's some people that are only negative. I really, really dislike that. I like, if I don't like something and I hate everything about it, I probably just realize it's not for me and I just go do something else. That's what I did last patch. I wasn't having a good time. I gave my constructive feedback on the things I didn't like, and then I was like, alright, I'll see you next patch. Hopefully it's better. And now it is. And a lot of the things I complained about have all been fixed. So I very happy with that, obviously. So yeah, I don't like the toxicity crew. I almost dislike more the toxic positivity crew that are, you shouldn't complain about anything. Everything GDD does is perfect, because they don't even think that themselves. They reach out and they go on podcasts and they're like, what do you guys think about this? We don't feel it's right. We're not happy with how towers are. What do you guys think? So like, feedback is how a game grows. It's very, very important. And as a pet peeve side note, me dying and raging for 10 seconds is not feedback. That's just me being tilted when I die. It's completely okay to be tilted when you die to a monkey and get skill issued to fuck. Most people get salty about that. Like, that's not what I mean when I say constructive feedback, when I'm like raging after a death. Not that I rage super hard, but you know what I mean. But some actual issues that I do feel are a problem. Health versus energy shield. Energy shield has points on the tree. I don't understand why. I don't understand why energy shield has points on the tree and life doesn't. I understand the concept of energy shield is that you can get a lot more of it, but it's harder to recover. But the gear already has a lot more on it. And there's nodes on the tree. I don't understand both of those being true. It has so many energy shield nodes on the tree, and not all of these are like 40% increased energy shield. But I'm struggling to understand why they have both, right? They can get 1200 energy shield on a chest. What is the actual max? I don't want to misspeak. Okay, 1145 is the current highest energy shield on a chest that you can get. No matter what I try, I cannot get 1145 life on a chest, right? And on top of that, they have energy shield nodes. That I don't understand. Now, I actually do quite like the concept of having no life on the tree. But I don't think it's in a good enough place. And I don't think, like, currently, if you just throw on the equal amount of life nodes that Energy Shield has access to right now on the tree, the game would be in a better state. Straight up. If all you did was just go through and add life nodes, even just some, the game would just be better right now. Because the disparity between Energy Shield and life is not in a good place right now. And especially in hardcore and Soul Self-Fun, where our economies are so much more limited, it's way harder to get crazy enough gear that you can be very tanky on a life build. People are playing around with like deflect, people are playing around with armor. I'm going for armor, and it definitely is impactful, but I think armor is in an exceptionally good place right now. I just think life is the issue, because the amount of armor we can get access to right now, if you could get between 4 and 6k life, is stellar then. But it's hard to get enough life. Like, Right now, I don't have bad gear. I have 100 life, 114, 103, 80, 160. My boots are pretty trash. 94. I'm also trying to get a lot of armor, also applies to elemental damage. That's filling up a lot of my sockets. But like, this gear in hardcore right now is like 100 to 200x it's cost me. Again, probably very different in softcore. I'm still not even chaos capped. I'm still using like Ellie runes to cap. I can't use them for armor. I can't use them for life. So it is actually like, it is quite a bit of a struggle, I find, to get really high life and defenses on hardcore. But yeah, that's what I'm working on now. Life nodes though would probably be a big W, or gain more life per level. I don't know what the solution is, because like I said, I really do like the concept of no life nodes on the tree. It makes that you're just thinking more about your build, and doesn't create a weird disparity between softcore and hardcore. In softcore builds can just forego defense in that way. So I'm not necessarily saying we need life tree nodes. I do think there definitely needs to be a change here to make life a bit more viable. And blood mage and stuff works. And there are loads of cool things for defense, like pin, etc., and stay light, use cover, get as much armor as you can, and there are things. Also, you can see I am actually taking quite a lot of armor nodes too, in different spots. Would love to see a change for that already next patch. Deflection. We discussed this at a podcast with Rue, Ziggy, and Crouching Tuna. And the problem with evasion and deflection is that evasion is already a RNG mechanic. It is actually not RNG. For those that don't know how evasion works, let's say you have 40,000 evasion. It'll pick a number. Like, it'll tell you something like you have a let's say you have a 60% chance to dodge. That does not mean you have a 60% chance to dodge or evade. It'll actually pick like a hidden number when an enemy hits you, and it'll adhere to that number. So it might be the monster will hit you every 6 attacks, or the monster will hit you every 11 attacks. But at no point with 30 to 40k evasion can you get hit twice in a row. Like, it is not like block. If you have a 50% chance to block, you can get hit 4 times in a row, or you can block 4 times in a row. But evasion has entropy, and it has a forgiveness system, and like a you will get hit eventually system. Like, you can never dodge 100 hits in a row with evade. But because of that, that makes deflection a lot better. So what I assumed deflection was going to be a lot stronger than it is. I thought it was going to be completely broken compared to armor. And if anything, deflection is a little bit undertuned. I thought deflection was going to be something you throw in almost every build. You get to 100% and you get 40% damage reduction. And hello, you now have stronger spell suppression that works for everything. That's not what it is. It's almost impossible to cap. I don't think it is possible to cap. So that's very rough. On top of that, it isn't a good synergy for evasion, because when you are running a build with evasion, the idea is that you're barely ever getting hit, but then when you do get hit, you don't get one shot. So for example, in Path of Exile 1, I think we have this in PoE 2 too, but I don't remember what it does. So in PoE 1, we have an item called Kintsugi, and this was very, very commonly used with evasion builds, because it's 35% less damage taken if you've not been hit recently. And recently is every 4 seconds. So if you're only getting hit once every 4 seconds, it is 35% damage reduction, which is huge. And that's sort of the role that, in my opinion, Deflect should fill, because I don't think stacking... I don't want to run an evasion build if it's like, well, I'm barely getting hit, and when I get hit, it's a 70% chance that I get one shot. That's not fun. I can't get behind that, right? Like, you really want Deflect to be able to get to 100%. Deflect needs to be 40% damage reduction, like it is. But then you have the problem of, aren't you just slapping it in every build? How does this just help evasion? So very often, I don't have suggestions on how to fix things. I'm not a game developer. And most of the time, I'm just able to be like, I don't feel this is good. Maybe make it better. And there are some devs that have said, like, players rarely have good suggestions, but they often have, they're good at identifying problems. I actually think I have a pretty decent suggestion for deflection. So I think it should be something that's meant to pair with evasion to solve that problem of when you do get hit, you don't get one shot. The scary thing then is if you make it too good, everyone's going to slap it in every build and you have spell suppression. In my opinion, you make it more like Ghost Routes, where it has charges. So at 3 or 4 charges, maybe it's 5% damage reduction per charge. So you have, let's say that you have like 4 charges or something. You have 20% damage reduction or 40%, maybe you have 10% damage reduction per and 3. But whether it's 30 or 40% damage reduction. But the goal here would be that these charges get consumed when you get hit. So let's say that you're an armor evasion build and you're getting hit every second attack. You're always out of charges and you're effectively not getting any damage reduction anyway. If you're an actual evasion build and you are barely getting hit, you get hit once, boom, well, that hit did 40% less damage to you or whatever. And if you get hit in the next 4 seconds, you're going to take 30%, then 20, then... Or, sorry, you're getting that much less reduction. And eventually you're getting full forced hits because you are supposed to dodge, you are supposed to evade and play away from the monsters. But I think that really solves the problem of deflect and doesn't just add it as a free defense for everybody. I think that would be better than currently. I am using it in my build. Right now it is just, I get free deflect for armor. This is nice. I now have 36% deflect. So 36% chance to get 40%. And it will get up. I'll probably get it to like 50, 60%. It's very unreliable. And having a defense like that can't be unreliable. Like, that's sort of the antithesis of evasion, I feel. So, bit of a rant on evasion and deflect on life there, but I do feel like those are pretty important parts. I'm obviously extra incentivized to care about defense and be very invested in defense as a hardcore player. I don't want to die. And I do feel like it's very, very easy in both Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2 to get crazy damage and one-shot all the bosses. I way prefer watching people be super tanky. You get to see the boss mechanics. Maybe you still have to dodge the one-shots. But I like strong tanks. That's always been appealing to me. So hopefully we'll see some changes there. Another thing that I feel is a big problem in the game is the Temple of Chaos Ultimatum. Mathel put it best. Maybe my editor can put in a quote from Mathel. But he said something like, Ultimatum feels like you are choosing what kind of vice would you like to put your balls in today? And that echoed very true for me. It is like, there's nothing positive in there. There's nothing fun like Sekima. We're like, oh, you get 40% more damage. It is just like, well, would you like, there are huge blood balls that fall on your face? Would you like blood balls that chain you to the ground? Would you like chaos damage explosions? Do you want the boss to not be able to be stunned and be 700 million times faster? And there's no counterpoint like, would you like this, but also you get 3 Chaos Orbs, right? There's nothing like that either. It's just, this is what you have to do to get through to Ascend. So, the Temple of Chaos, I believe, is 38 at the first level. I skipped the 38 one. I was level 40, and I was just molding at the bird. Like, the very scary bird that's obviously killing everybody. The Chimera in there is pretty fine. I instead bought a 47 Trial of the Sekima when I was level 40. I did the Trial of the Sekima, and it was quite challenging because I'm 7 levels under-leveled. But it was still easier than dealing with Ultimatum and all those downsides. And I'm a big fan of Sekima. But I think Ultimatum needs a whole-ass rework. That is so unfun. And I'm a huge fan of Sekima. Really like it. It's one of my favorite mechanics. I still think it could be a little bit better. And there's a reason so many people hate it. Probably somebody just had whiplash when I said it's one of my favorite mechanics. Little pet peeve with Sekima. I was shocked to find, after how many people I see complain about they hate Sekima, they hate Ascension, they miss Lab, I love it. I was shocked that after all that loathing from so many in the community that they made a worse room in the 4th Ascendancy one. There's like a way worse gauntlet, which the gauntlets are what people don't like in Sekima generally. There's a worse one this season. I was surprised. And I even like, I love Sekima, but I was like, okay, that one's a bit much. Now, I do want to talk about a negative thing about the campaign. I don't have this problem in PoE 1 because it's so much faster and we have so much access to speedrunning here. So I can... My fastest campaign run on hardcore now is 2 hours and 3 minutes. Or 2 hours and 1 minute, sorry. I beat my record this season. That's my fastest hardcore campaign run. And I can break that because I didn't even have anything crazy. I didn't even have 7 league step. Now, even my 4th character was like a 11 to 13 hour campaign run. Now, part of that is hardcore. I'm sure you can do it on like, I don't know what the fastest full run with gear is right now. And obviously you can have faster builds than what I was playing. I don't know, I guess fastest would be somewhere between 4 and 8 hours, right? For a campaign run. I'd be very surprised if you can do sub 4-hour campaign. If so, I would love to see it. I have a lot to learn still. But it is a lot longer. It is a lot longer. Like my campaign runs are long right now. And they are a bit of a slog. Like I am enjoying the campaign, but they are a bit of a slog. I remember on a podcast, I don't remember if it was Chris or Jonathan, but they got asked on a podcast if they would ever consider an alternative leveling method. And they said if people still dislike doing the campaign repeatedly after the PoE 2 comes out, they would consider it, but they would feel like they've failed. And I think they're just thinking about it the wrong way, because I don't think it's about failing. I think it's an almost unsolvable ARPG problem. I don't think it's anyone's fault at all. And I don't think you should do the Diablo 4 method or like a World of Warcraft method, where in Diablo 4 you only do the campaign once. In World of Warcraft, you can boost characters to like a higher level. I don't think those are good solutions. Let's say, like ARPG players, a lot of us play a lot, right? I think there are very few people that are playing one character that has an issue with doing the campaign. And you shouldn't. You should always have to do the campaign at least once per season. Always. I'll die on that hill. Like, I think it's a very great way to break up the start of a new season. And I think it's super important. And it's maybe a little bit too easy in Last Epoch on your first character, and I hate that you don't have to do it in D4. Even though the campaign's maybe a bit too long in D4, but Tier 2 campaign's pretty long too. The problem is, when you are playing a lot, this number will differ for some people, but on your 3rd or 5th or 10th character, there's some of those where there's not a single person that will care about anything those characters are finding. That, in my opinion, is the crux of the problem. If I'm doing my 6th character through the campaign, it is just a chore, because A, I already know how all of this works. It is just taking a while. There's not crazy high density, so leveling actually takes a while too, and I do actually have to kill a lot. And there's nothing that character can find that is exciting, right? So a lot of people almost feel forced to just stay on their high level characters rather than spend another 10 to 15 leveling a new character. And some of that is practice. Like, we will get faster. There's very little you can do to solve that. I'm not 100% sure on good solutions. Like I said, you could have like part of the Atlas nodes or amount of Atlas points. Tying into Atlas points is maybe not a bad idea. So if you're at a 40 out of 40, there's more density. There's waypoints maybe unlocked. There's side bosses. Let's say that you enter Act 2 and you get 6 skill points because the side bosses are already dead and you can skip them. Things like that would do really, really good, I think. And tying it to Atlas points is a good idea. So if you're on hardcore and you die after getting 2 Atlas points, well, tough luck, right? You're basically doing the same campaign again. But if you have everything fully unlocked, like that is, in my opinion, a good incentive to push into like 8 out of 8 on everything, 40 out of 40 here, to like change the campaign for future characters. And I think there's fun ways you can do that. Like I said, you can have more density that, like, say you maxed everything out, it's double the amount of density in the campaign, right? It'll make it feel a lot more like mapping. And yeah, again, it doesn't solve the problem. There's server maintenance, sorry. I don't necessarily have a perfect solution, and I used to be very against the idea of an alternative campaign and stuff, but the PoE 2 is making me surprisingly more in favor of that, even though like making the campaign less boring is a thing they're trying to fix. I don't think it's got anything to do with boring, to be honest. I don't know if everybody agrees on this, but I do think it's just the fact that there's nothing that character can find that'll make it exciting. That's the big difference that, in my opinion, I have identified. So I don't know. I do hope they reconsider that in the future, or just changing it. If it's going to be this long, it does need some change. And it is good to incentivize people making a lot of characters, I think. I also wanted to talk about runes. I'm not a big fan of where the crafting bench versus runes are. I think the crafting bench does such a better job early. I think runes are okay for the endgame. I don't think there's many endgame crafting issues there. But early game, like, oh my god, dude. Please reduce the drop rate of the stat ones and increase like iron, resist, etc. That's rough. Visual clarity. I'm just gonna ask my editor to play a clip of my grenade launcher. I look at that all day. And I'm like trying to think, like, can I do this in any other way where it's still good damage? And it's rough. It's sort of like how you should build it for good damage. Please, please, pretty please, give us the option to have bosses on top of every effect or reduce opacity. Like, I can't see bosses. I have no idea what they're doing. And I really enjoy this build. It's super fun. It's super strong. I cannot see bosses. They are completely exploded. If my build didn't have pin, I would be dead. Because I will not be able to dodge any attack. And totally, you could just say, well, don't play that build then. But I don't think that's a good solution either, right? Ideally, you should, like, abandon a build because it was weak or you didn't like the playstyle. Hopefully everybody agrees that you should not abandon a build because the visual clarity was so awful. Like, it's just I can't see shit. That shouldn't be the reason why we abandon builds. So I think that's my final negative point. And obviously I had a lot more to say about the negative things because there's things that I feel I really have to explain. I want to give feedback on, but I thoroughly love this patch. I'm going to be playing a lot. Can't wait to do more characters. I have so many builds I want to do. GDD absolute, like, I'm so excited about PoE 2. I was very doomer last patch and worried. But yeah, just so good. For me, this is like saved PoE 2 for me. And I'm having so much fun. So huge thank you to Grinding Gear Games for always, like, listening to the community and not always listening to the community. I think there's a lot of things we ask for or say that are dumb. So yeah, thanks for you guys are great tips. Thanks. Either way, thanks for watching. Sub if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.